Here you get the black and you take the Aegean and
Yeah.
also, and you help Italy into
Oh,
Greece in
no.
the spring.
Oh, no.
So this is bad news for Italy because she doesn't cover Venice.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what happened? So I talked to Russia and basically I told him it looks like Austria is manipulating Italy into attacking me. So I really need the Black Sea for defense. And he said, okay, you can go there and you can defend. And then my moves were written. I can't support Bulgaria, Smyrna to Aegean, like for defense. And then like 3 minutes before the deadline, I talked to Italy and I telling her, what are you doing in Aegean? You have not built. What is Austria doing with you? And she said, oh, what do you propose? And then I told her, if you want, Bulgaria can support Aegean to Greece, so you get a build. And she said, okay, that's a great. I'll do that. And so I just changed one order, like Bulgaria support Aegean to Greece. I thought, if she's lying, I'm not losing anything. And if she's doing it, that's good. And then I tell her, okay, you should move to Apulia to cover, to be able to defend Venice if he moves to Tyrolia. But I was sure that she was playing Piedmont to Venice, to cover Venice. And she didn't. And so after that, I gave her Greece. And I think if she was covering Venice, I could have worked with her for the rest of the game or for a long time. But here, she loses Venice, and so she cannot recover it because there is going to be a retreat in Rome. And then Greece is going to get to Tunisia, so Austria is huge. So I thought, okay, there is no way I can work with Italy from.
Yeah. You would have, if she would have done that, you would have allied with her right into a solo.
Yes.
So that's what would have happened.
I don't know, when you have 4 centers, you're pretty far from a solo, but.
No, I'm saying like you push her that way and then grab.
No, for sure. That would have been good. Working with less experienced player, it's always a dream. But
yeah, well, Anyway, hopefully, here's the thing: we want newer players to come and play, so it's not something, we're not. If Allison, if you're listening to this, we're not getting on your anything.
She's great. Her personality was fantastic. Just needs a little more experience.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was really ready to work with her. And if she had moved Piedmont to Venice, I think her position was fairly decent. And I would not have taken Greece, and I think Austria was in trouble.
So for my side, I make a deal with Russia. You take Norway. That way I can use Skagerrak to cut North Sea to let France into the English Channel. I'm working really well with George. I feel bad for England because he's sort of desperate now, and he gets more and more desperate as things go on, but I like my position. I'm worried about George, though, at all times, and this is a prominent theme throughout the game, although Nicolas and I might disagree a little bit later on. But I always wanted to watch my back versus a good player like George playing France. But I like the position. We can go to the fall, and the move to Sweden was agreed, obviously, as part of the deal.
Yeah, that's all great stuff too. That's very good.
Here it is in the fall.
Yeah.
Now, Russia didn't like me being in Sweden, but it was like I had to sort of remind them it's the fall season. I have to stay there. You can just support Norway. I can't take it. But we end up taking the North Sea. That's great. On my end,
now,
the EG is starting to roll.
So Denmark, is that so you can support Sweden, or what's the?
Well, the thought there was, in all honesty, not that I was going to support Sweden, but I was always intending to attack Russia next. And so I just wanted to, have options.
I'm just curious. I mean, you are getting a build, so you're gonna be fine. It's just, because you can always convoy Holland too. So, I just curious what your thoughts were.
I was intending it to move it north at some point, and when I saw the self bounce before in Marseille, I wasn't surprised by that, but in Burgundy, and so I was a little worried, but I figured at this point George needed me way more than I needed him. He's full on against England, so I wasn't too worried about France at this point.
And Nikolai does what every Turk does to an Italian when he puts him into Greece in the spring. He just takes it in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, I just thought that, okay, our position is not good enough that we can work together efficiently. So at that point, I thought, okay, I mean, an AT usually is very good for Turkey. So let's try to get this going. And then Russia will have problems. So he will leave me alone. And maybe when he starts disbanding units, I can. But I mean, to me, with Turkey, my initial goals are to take the Black Sea and the Aegean. These are almost as important as supply centers. So if I can even get Greece, then that's even better. But
does Russia then come back to you and say, "Okay, time to leave the Black Sea"?
Yeah, every turn until the end of the game. And once you're in the Black Sea, you're in the Black Sea.
So what do you tell them? Do you just say maybe later?
Yeah, maybe later, and let's wait. And anyway, I cannot really move my units, so I'm not going to Ankara. And but I think right now he was not that worried yet. But I think he started to ask me to move the Black Sea away. So, but I mean, there is not that much he can do against it.
So I built Army Munich, which is obvious given the position on the board. And one thing England did that I liked was when North was dislodged, he disbanded it to build an army on Britain.
Yeah, that was smart.
Which I like that. It was, that was really good. You built the army. Was this assigned to Austria of AT, or tell me what you were thinking?
I really wanted to build a fleet, but Austria told me, you have to build an army, otherwise I'm not happy. So I told him, if France is moving against you, can I build a fleet? And he said, okay, but if he doesn't move Mao to west, then you build an army. And so I said, okay, I'll build an army.
So this was a discussion you had during the fall season.
Yes.
Negotiate during so you had pre-thought this out.
Yes.
Did you find
he was really asking? He was really asking for it. And I'm not, I think both are good. The only thing is, by building an army, I should attack Austria. So that's the thing. So it's a bit strange to me, but because I think it's much more natural if I want to do an AT that I build a fleet and then I get to Naples and I keep going with my fleets. But he really asked me to do it. So, I thought, okay, I have an ally. Let's work with my ally. So let's build this. It's not so bad, and it can be useful.
It can, but I think it slowed you down a little bit.
Yeah, but at that point I was not. I thought, okay, I think I can take my time. The position is pretty strange, but I think with Insight, fleet would have been better. But maybe, if I build a fleet, then, Tunis goes to Ionian and Austria attacks me. So I don't know.
No, I think the army was the way to go.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the spring.
This Armenia, I'm guessing. And nope, you want. So, okay. So you're still keeping your options open on who to go for.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I try, I made an army, so I tried to move my units around. An army in Smyrna is really not useful. And we had agreed with Austria that you would move to Tyrrhenian Sea and that I would support him to Naples. If he was getting Rome, I was getting Naples. But I was telling, so all the moves were agreed with Austria, basically. And
no, Russia. I just thought he would be wanting you to go to Armenia, but by doing this, you kind of have your options open to attack whoever. So
yeah, but I started telling Austria I cannot attack Russia, otherwise Germany is going to just grow so fast that it's
yeah.
And so go ahead.
It's 1903. I'm in the Ionian. I have armies in Greece and Serbia. And have a fleet in Black Sea. This is a dream for Turkey.
Right.
Yeah.
So the big question is, do you take the convoy or are you going to get Serbia? I'm guessing you're going to do the convoy.
Well, we'll see about that in a second. Let me just, on my side, you can see at this point, I'm ensuring that I take Norway. I lost on the 50-50. George and I sort of debated it when going for Edinburgh, but that was fine. And I figured since I was moving to Finland, I didn't mind moving to. I mean, I was going to take Norway in the fall. I didn't mind moving to Silesia, and maybe engage in some troublemaking over there. So that's why I did that. I'll switch it to the fall, and you can see what Nicolas does next. Bunch of holds.
That's interesting. So what was your thinking on this? Would he not give you the convoy?
So the important thing is there is a French army in Piedmont, and that's going to help Italy maybe to try. So he said, there is a guessing game, I think, on Venice, and he said.
But he's not getting a build off this anyway.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I told him that he should move Budapest to Galicia or something like that, so that he could build, but he didn't do it. And but basically, I just wanted to make sure that we were killing Italy quickly, and that we could move our fleets to the Med as soon as possible when Italy is dead.
So why not push for the convoy to Naples with his support?
Because he wanted the dots. That's he was already freaking out that I would stab him on Tunis, and so I just wanted to make sure that there is a strong FG. England is dead. If I don't have an ally who is going to work with me we are going to cooperate really, really closely, there is nothing I can do in this game. I'm going to lose the race. So yeah, and he had told me that at the end, I think that Budapest was supporting Serbia. Russia didn't want to support me into Serbia. He just wanted to play it safe. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to trust Austria and try to play with Austria and try to, control the board. And then I know that in the end of the game, if I can get Tunis, Sebastopol, Romania, I can stab Austria on Serbia, it's 10 centers. So if you think about Germany and France, they are not going to have more than 18 or 19 centers. So I should be very close to the top. And if one is getting away, then I can attack Austria and nobody's going to stop me. So I'm really already counting dots here. And I'm thinking, yes, 9 or 10 should be enough for the top board. But to do that, I need to keep my friends alive, and I need to control the rest of the board. Otherwise,
is the thought then he gets Rome, and then you're going to backfill into Naples and eventually get Tunis?
Yeah, something like that. Or I was getting. Okay. I mean, the plan was that I getting Tunis the following year, and then I thought, okay, Russia is going to disappear, so it's going to end up with Moscow and Warsaw, and so Romania and Sebastopol are going to be mine. And so I would already be at 8, and with the stab whenever I want to go to 10 or 11. So that was the idea. But the most important thing to me was to control a bit the growth of the FG, so that they wouldn't be at like 20 or 22 centers too quickly, because then first if one stab the other, there is a solo, and I'm in my corner. There is nothing I can do. And also with 20 centers, I can just sit with 10 each, and there is nothing I can do either. So, and that's basically what happened in the game, but we are getting ahead of ourselves.
All right. I like what you're doing. I do. I like what you're doing, because it would be easy to kind of be greedy at this point. But if Austria is not offering you anything and Russia's not offering you anything, it's probably, I think what you're doing is, I think that's then the right play. If they're not going to do anything, you've got the best position anyway, that you might as well wait until you've got your chance.
Okay, so on my end, I take Norway. Russia retreats to the Norwegian Sea. Oddly enough, I would have taken Edinburgh either way, because France supported Edinburgh to Liverpool, expecting a mutual bounce, but England also supported Edinburgh to Liverpool. And so I'm in here at this point. I'm feeling good. I'm at 8. I'm a little worried about tribute scoring at this point because I know it incentivizes people to go after the board leader. And the number one guy I've got to keep on board is France. I don't bring this up, but it's around this time where France is like, oh, this is really unfair. I'm doing all this work. I'm helping you. England has, for some reason, decided he hates me and not you. And you're at 8, I'm at 6, and we're going to have to figure out a way to give parity to this. And I was like, okay, and I understood what he was saying, and I ended up, it was a continual conversation that we would have because he was worried about getting pipped.
But he's getting Liverpool and London, so it'll be 8-8, right?
Correct. And I told him, that's what would happen, that he would get those 2 centers. But it's a conversation that kept reoccurring between the 2 of us because it becomes more important as England.
So he's wanting Holland, right?
He wanted Munich or Holland. And I eventually talked to him about Holland, but the dynamic that occurs at this point is, and I really sincerely thought about it, I'm going to switch to the builds because this is an extremely fortunate event for me. Russia disbands Norwegian Sea.
Yeah, that's a key moment in the game.
That and the misorder for England were the 2 bits of good fortune I had in the game, plus the disbanding of the fleet by England. England tells me at this point, I'll ensure that you get all 3 of my centers, period. And I make a decision at this point, do I sort of take that offer? Because what's England really going to do? I mean, he's offering me his centers. I believe it. He hates France. Maybe I should just right now attack because the East is starting to form. The army in Moscow moved up.
I would have wanted to support that fleet into the English Channel if you were going to take it. And then, your 2 armies can hold it back, but push it back or something like that.
Oh, that's a good point. There you go.
Thanks.
I fully intended to move to Prussia and set up an attack on St. Petersburg. I tell France, take Liverpool. I know from what England's telling me exactly what his moves are. And so I moved to London. So now I know I'm getting another build. And this was a big, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
Which part?
I don't like you giving up making the North Sea. Now, look, he's not making his move, but I don't like you giving up the North Sea. I would have rather you convoyed, or I don't like that personally, because I think it's going to give, if George wants to at some point, he's got the fleets to start putting pressure on you.
Well, I should have probably thought about that a bit more, because if you notice, I told George what was going to happen. This is, I think, a big mistake that I tell him I'm going to London and it's going to be free. I tell him I'm going to get into Liverpool. I'll get him into Liverpool, which he would have gotten into anyways. And it's at this point he's really talking about needing Munich or Holland right away, and doesn't want to delay it. And I'm like, crap. If I move to Prussia, I really don't know what he's going to do for sure. And I knew I had Silesia there, but I just didn't think I could do it. And so I went back because I realized Gascony really had no place to go.
Well, Skagerrak to Sweden is a useless. I mean, I think ultimately is not that useful. I would rather. I mean, I get what you're trying to do there.
The idea was to move it to Gulf of Bothnia the next year, but it's going to be a long slog for one dot. I was really confused.
You should have put it in the North Sea, in my opinion, because I think if you're going to top this board, it's going to probably have to come through France at some point. Now, he probably wouldn't have liked it, but you can easily sell it as a defensive move set. So, but I mean, I play it a little differently. Nikolai might have some different opinions, but I would have probably done Skagerrak to North Sea and just let that simmer, let Russia simmer a little bit, because it's obvious that something's going to happen.
I would like that move to Ska to North Sea. I think it's.
I think in retrospect, that's probably right. I just was trying to manage the George situation, and I'm sitting there looking at 4 fleets, trying to figure that out. All right, so we'll go ahead, Nicola. We're going to say something.
Yeah. So in the east, basically, I told Austria, okay, we need to get rid of this fleet in Sebastopol. So let's take Romania, and let's tell Russia that if he disbands the fleet, then he can defend with his 4 armies for as long as he wants. And that was and at the end, Russia agreed that that was the thing to do. So.
Okay,
yes.
So this was sold as moving through in the spring to get rid of your fleet in the fall.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, okay, I mean, I'll take Romania, but I won't take Sebastopol. So, you just disband the fleet because you lose 1 center, put your armies to defend against Germany. And as long as you defend against Germany, you don't have to worry about me taking Sebastopol.
That's great. That's really good.
That's a good way to So the next move in the fall, you can see France starts to move towards the Mediterranean. The thinking here obviously is Turkey's going to grow fast. Turkey's the only one that can build fleets. You have a fleet advantage. This is another reason I probably didn't move to the North Sea. But now you can see my problem gets worse because Warsaw moves to Livonia. I actually didn't know that the Romanian move was arranged. So I was sort of hopeful that, there would be fighting between AT and Russia. That move to Livonia means I can't take St. Petersburg. I let Belgium into Holland. Obviously, I could have stopped that if I wanted to, but that was to, George tells me I'm going to move everything now to the Mediterranean. So that was the.
If I'm George, this is my opinion. If I'm George at this moment, I'm setting up to attack you. So he's got a unit in Tyrolia. There's no real fleets. Fleets aren't going to be able to move against him super quick. And if he's going to top this board, he's not going to be getting much of anything from the south at this point. The only way that George is going to top this board is taking your centers. I think he's in a good position to do it. Now, what do you think, Nikolai?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he can play it both ways, I think, because he has enough fleets to control Germany for a long time. And he can make a move later because Germany is going to send lots of units against Russia. I don't know.
Yeah, he could play it slower. That's for sure. It's just.
Yeah, I think I made a mistake at that point. I think Ionian Sea should have moved to Tyrrhenian Sea.
Yeah, definitely.
But Austria didn't want me to move. He didn't want me to take Tunis because I told him, hey, you're building 2. Why not me taking Tunis so I can really move? And he said no. And then I said, oh, can I go to Tyrrhenian Sea? And he said, I don't know. He was right at that point. I think he was a bit freaking out that Turkey was too strong. And I think at that point I should have done something about it. But I don't know. First, also, I mean, if you look at my moves, that was not what we agreed with Russia and Austria, because the agreed move was that I was moving Romania to Galicia and the Black Sea to Romania. But then the last 5 minutes, they talked together. And I went to the room like 1 minute before the end, and I couldn't talk to them. So I just thought, okay, maybe they are just changing things, and they're attacking Romania with 4. And so that's why I defended Romania twice and cut Serbia, so I would not get double-crossed anywhere. But I think, at that point, I kind of, this turn was not a good turn. I think I didn't talk enough with Austria. Because he talked a lot with Russia. I don't know why. And so I think I am.
Well, he also talked, this was sort of the beginning of a conversation Germany, me and myself and France had with Austria saying, You're putting a world champion at Turkey at 6. What are you doing? From a balance of power perspective, where is he going to grow?
I wonder. So you could have obviously grabbed 3 here if you wanted.
Yes.
You could have got. Yeah. You could have got Serbia. You could have supported. Probably the best thing is Bulgaria over, and then just taken Tunis, and you could have, grabbed yourself 3 builds, which it's interesting. So George is moving south. He's probably going to be building then Fleet Marseille. Is that? It just feels like the game is getting to a point that, like, if someone doesn't stab, they're not going to be able to win, and it's going to become up to
if I stab now, I think, if I had a second fleet in the south, in the eastern or in Aegean, then I could go and try to defend Tunis. But basically, Tunis cannot be defended in the long run, and so I'm stabbing for Serbia basically, which I don't know if it's enough. I'm gonna be stuck at 6 or 7, and Germany is already at 8. So how do I top that board if I go?
I think what you got to do is you got to work something out with Germany. You have to get on Germany and say, hey, look, if either of us are going to top the board, we've got to do this together. Because now that doesn't mean Ed will do it. He probably won't. So, but
I don't know. Yeah. You'll see what happens the following year. I thought that the plan was not too bad, but I misjudged Austria.
You're right. France did build a fleet Marseille, and Turkey built fleet Smyrna. At this point, France tells me he's definitely moving everything south. I believed him. I helped him into Bohemia. But to give Nicolas credit on the other end of it, Humble, we talked almost every year, even if it was just for a minute, even if it was just to say hi. And he kept relationships going, maybe because we've played together, and I thought that was good on his part and mine, frankly, to keep talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think those side deals that you set up early on in the game is really important for mid-game success, because you have to have somebody on the other side of the board that you're like, okay, there's going to come a time when you and I are going to do some stuff, and you've got to set that up early so that way when that time comes, you've built up a little bit of capital. I know for me and my board top, that was really helpful. There was a moment in that game, in the mid game, where we made some moves that I feel like helped me be able to pull out a board top because of somebody on the other side of the board. And I think what Nikolai's doing there, you gotta, I think early on, you got to set something up with everybody really that, whoever's coming out on top or who's ever the little bit the smallest power there, you guys make your move together. That's my thought.
So Nicolas here on the spring move, it's the rally against FG time.
Yeah, more or less. It's just, we have a rat going and we are trying to move our units west. That's the thing. He's trying to set up a line and see what we can do. And
it just feels like if you do stab Austria, then that just means France is gonna board top, right? It's getting to the point that like you're almost setting it up to where it's impossible to board top, because anything you do, any stab you do is gonna have the best thing that can happen is someone throws to you.
Yeah, but right? Once again, it's about counting dots. So if we control Tunis, and suppose Germany just take St. Petersburg, and we manage to keep Warsaw and Moscow on our side of the line, then it's 17 centers on each side of the line, which means that Germany and France are going to be at 9 and 8, which means one of them is topping the board and not the other. And so I thought, okay, George is not going to accept an 8 to 9, and I don't think Ed is going to accept a 9 to 8. What I was more worried is, if they have an even number of centers, they could try to share the top. And so I was really thinking, okay, as long as we have Tunis, it's an odd number of centers for their side of the board. And so, they are not going to just settle for a 9-8 or 8-9. Oh. But the 9-9 it's a dangerous combination.
So the centers we were looking at, we were thinking 10-10 of Warsaw, Moscow, and St. Petersburg. Yeah. Those were the three we were going after. I make a critical error later on, which we can go to here. Things look not so bad for that plan at this point. I really thought I could get into Warsaw the time before when I moved to Galicia. And I'm like, Galicia's not going to work. And we went back and forth. Prussia, we thought about. And I'm like, I think he's going to move out of Prussia. I think he has to. I didn't get to Warsaw in the spring. Not that I could have held it, but it would have allowed me to take St. Petersburg because I could have cut support. But here we go, trying to set up the line. George continues to move at this point, which I really like. And George, just for what it's worth, it's a little bit of an interest. He was like, you got to move off of Britain. You have to move off of Britain. And I understood his point, but I really didn't want to move off of Britain. Sure. And I said I would do it and entered a misorder. I copied England's misorder on the convoy from before and purposely did not move off.
So you could have taken Liverpool and convoyed Norway
to Holland or
Holland,
I could have or
I'm probably seeming like I'm super stabby, and I'm not really like that in the game. I'm just trying to think, because I know how this game ends. I'm like, in my mind, I'm trying to figure out ways that someone could board top this game. And the thing is, if you stab France, you're probably okay, because, Austria can't really make a lot of gains on France, and he's so centered there in Austria. I don't know. I think that might have been a time to do it. You get two builds.
In retrospect, it's another time I could have done it. And part of it is, it's not the fear of Nicolas, but it's the respect I have for Nicolas, because Nicolas now is spending an inordinate amount of time with both me and France. And Austria is talking to me. They are all wanting us to turn on each other, working that angle every time. And I'm like, well, I see a way to get to 10 without stabbing my ally. I think it can happen. But that's where I was going.
You could have put something in Belgium, taken Liverpool. You have Holland in your back pocket. Moved Munich to Ruhr. Bounced in Munich. So you got two builds. Do a fleet. Do another army. You would have been in a really strong position. You'd have been in a really strong position.
Should I have stabbed Nicolas? What do you think?
I think it was. I mean, if you knew the moves of France, that he was moving to Burgundy and Irish Sea, I think that was very tempting.
You're not going to be getting anything really on Russia. It's just your growth has to happen through France at this point. And if you make a move like that, he is pulling two off. He's going to have to move Holland. You're already lined up against Burgundy, and you're probably going to have to do definitely some defense, but you're going to, one of two things, you're either going to be able to turn it into a three-way draw because, you're going to be able to hold out for a while, or you're going to board top. I think, I don't know. You're not going to grow any other way. So that's my thoughts.
But so on the east, Austria stabs me. So
yeah, that would have been perfect then for you. You would have.
I'm really in trouble. I mean, I really thought the game was over for me. I mean, Tunis gets disbanded, but more importantly, I mean, France moves 3 fleets in the Med. He has Tyrrhenian Sea, he has West and North Africa, which means that France gets Tunis.
Yeah, this was your chance, Ed. This was your chance.
It's not clear that Naples can be defended. I mean, Austria just, I think he recognized his mistake immediately. I don't know if George told him that he would not move the fleets to the Tyrrhenian Sea. I don't know exactly what he believed, but just Austria stabs me for basically, he's not keeping his dots. So, I mean, it's just, everything is wrong. But for me, my position is bad because he had told me that he wanted Galicia to go to Bohemia, while I thought that Vienna should go to Bohemia. So my units are not coordinated anymore. I don't know if Austria wants to keep attacking me or not. And I think that at that point, with Germany not making a move, France is pretty close to a solo.
Yeah, that was your chance, Ed, right there. That was your chance. In my opinion.
And you'll see how I double down on idiocy.
I think he has chances later in the game.
I do. I do.
So
we'll see. Moving to the spring now, I have made a habit of entering my orders right away. Talked to George. I had one outstanding order, and as time was running down, I was talking to Nicolas. And I saw Backstabber process to turn and everything NMR'd at this point. I had entered 7 of 8 orders. I told Nicolas I missed my orders. I asked the tournament director. I tell honestly at this point, it's like, well, I thought I entered them. Maybe I didn't hit enter. I don't know if it's a Backstabber problem. I don't know if it's my problem. And they're like, you're screwed, and that's fine. But I thought everyone was really nice to me in that situation. It ends up being really difficult for 10-10 at this point because we don't take Warsaw, which we could have taken.
Yeah, on my side, I really don't know what's happening. I mean, I thought maybe Austria is going to keep going after me, putting Vienna in Budapest, and so Romania could have been in danger. So I put Con to the Black Sea, which is a strong defensive move, but it's also not helping against France. But on the other side, I'm just saying, okay, if Tunisia is disbanded, then it's open bar in Italy for France. So I make sure that Tunisia may go to Tyrrhenian Sea, and I tell Austria, I'm going to help you defend, because otherwise France is going to he could just solo that game right now. I mean, if instead of moving to Piedmont, he moved to Ruhr and Burgundy, I don't know exactly what stops him. He would have 3 on Munich, and the game. And if he moves to English Channel, I think, the game can be over quickly. So Austria gets back into the reasonable mood. He moves to Budapest. I moved to Galicia. So after that, I thought, okay, my position is safe, but getting to the top of the board is going to be tough unless Germany and France stab each other. So,
which you were working that angle every time, telling us.
Yes, and I think both of you had very good options. The only thing is, if you stab each other, then I can stab Austria, and then it's a race.
It's a race.
I'm so far behind that. But I didn't see how I could get back in the race if you don't stab each other. I think it was kind of a miracle that I managed to get back into the game.
All right. So here we go. I think it was not a miracle because you did do it.
Hey, you got the chance again.
had the chance again. This time I really tell them I'll move out of Britain, which I did. At this point, there's a sort of the argument that if we try and go against each other, it only helps Turkey.
That's not true. Austria's solid. Yeah. There's nothing.
France is in the Ionian Sea. I don't even have the Ionian Sea anymore. So
yeah. He's got a fleet in Romania. Austria can, Austria's going to throw himself at Turkey if that ever happens. That's funny. Yeah. That reminds me of in my game, Russia was like, I'll throw to France and he couldn't do anything because St. Petersburg was about to fall, and he's like, I'll throw to France if you do this. He had nothing to do, and so I was like, okay, fine, you do that.
No, at that point I was just trying to try to get a defensible position, try to slow down the FG, and thought, okay, if one of them wants to. They have options for a stab, and so I really thought that one would stab the other.
Mm-hmm.
I thought at that point, then I can, I have all the Austrian centers, so there still are two of them with like 18 or 19 centers, but I could be alone on my side, so.
But if France moves away, I mean, like, you might be able to grind out a center or two, but it's going to be hard for you to take all of that Austrian heartland.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if France moves away, I like my chances.
I mean, I think you get Tunis, but it's I
think I get everything. It's gonna take time, and I will have to to be a bit nasty, but I think I get everything because I'll get Sebastopol, which means I have another army, and then if I'm patient and I manage to get Austria to overcome it somewhere, I will be able to. Anyway.
So Nicolas gets his, I think, his first gift of the game. It's been a difficult game for Nicolas, and he thought his game was over. His first gift of the game is right now.
Yeah.
Because Germany proposes a draw because they're at 9.
France proposed a draw.
France proposed the draw. They're at 9.
Yeah.
And I was silent in the verbal thing, and Nicolas goes, well, what does Germany have to say about that? And I think, Humble, on our last podcast, you said never say no to a verbal offer of a draw. And I was like, no, I don't accept a draw. And Nicolas then, I think, sensed a fissure between France and Germany at that point. And then France backs off and is like, I meant later, not now.
Who put out the feeler for a draw?
France, because they're board top.
Okay. I thought Nikolai did. I'd be like, that's pretty good. That's nice. No. That's not a bad strategy when the other power's ahead.
Oh yeah, because I can still vote no. So
yeah, you can still vote no, but the other guy's a little bit ahead and say, you know what, let's just end it here.
So we'll move to the spring. At this point, we're not taking Warsaw. At this point, I'm going to get St. Petersburg, and Nicola, on your side of the board, it's more rallying.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a bit organized, and we have 3 fleets against 3, but I think he moved to the Adriatic, which I'm not sure why he did that. Maybe it was good, maybe it was not. But I thought, okay, now my position is solid. Austria is moving away. Worst case scenario, I'll get Sebastopol, and then I can get maybe 1 or 2 centers, but that gives me to 8, max 9. So I thought, okay, first I have to make sure that neither of you go to 10, because I think if you go to 10, there is not much I can do. But I really thought, okay, if they fight, because then I can get everything, basically. I can get, the 4 Austrian center, the 3 Italian centers, Sebastopol. So I thought, let's wait, let's see. And let's hope that somebody wants to top that board.
And you got a little bit of that here, which is, I set myself up for the fall because, the whole time you're saying, you're talking to me, and I know you're talking to France, but you're like, are you not, basically you're like, are you not looking at the board? If he moves to the Ruhr and Burgundy, you're done, and moves back up north. What can you do? And given that draw vote proposal that France had just made, at this point, I was like, maybe Nicolas, I know this is to Nicolas' benefit, but it's also maybe to my benefit to ensure myself in a position to where that does not happen. And obviously I have a lot of force on him right now. At least I can take 2. I'm worried at this point, where do I build? And I can switch it to the next slide, but I end up not doing it. But I was worried about, where am I going to build? He's just going to disband Silesia. I might trade Munich for Belgium and Holland. I actually thought at this point I would not make such a trade because Austria seemed to be very wary and stressing balance of power, and that he wasn't going to let France go back into Munich. So I'm kind of kicking myself here that I didn't believe Austria all the way, but I could have gotten 2 for sure, no question, if I had executed. Meanwhile, Nicolas, goodbye Austria, or at least we're going to start the moves.
Yeah, this is an issue. So let me just mention, like, Livonia, Moscow, Finland to St. Petersburg with support from Norway. Like, why? I don't know why you leave that Livonia. You want Livonia to stay where it's at.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
And
I can't remember why I did that.
To me, you stab. Obviously, if you know you're getting St. Petersburg, you take Holland. You either go for Belgium or save it for next year. To me, you go for it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey's
doing the same thing. Yeah, Turkey's doing the same thing.
I stabbed Austria because I was sure Germany was going for it, and I thought, yeah, I mean, if France is moving a couple of fleets away and is not helping anymore, I can get everything.
Yeah.
And it's a race between Germany and Turkey.
Well, that was such a great opportunity there. Because you also have this then, Ed, because then you have Austria, who you can probably play with, look, help me take some of these centers back against Turkey because of what they did. You can throw a few units that way and maybe force the board to let you board top.
Well, my concerns are, and this is me not being as experienced as either of you, I'm not as confident. The one thing I did not want to do was give Nicolas solo. The other thing was Austria told me what he was going to do, all of this. And I'm like, oh my God, how can he fight Turkey in this situation? And France will be so mad. He's just going to come back. You can see he started to come back a bit. But yeah, I mean, the other thing going through my mind was, and maybe this is me just being naive, and Nicola and I had a lot of conversations about this, but part of it was like, one, whatever the situation is, if I don't stab, I'll either tie or, share board top. Okay. And I can prove myself as an alliance player in round 2. I don't know what my score will be, but, if I need to pull the stab there, I can do it. If I stab right now, I paint a target on my back as someone who will do that, and it won't be useful for me. But ultimately, I think the real reason is I was scared of getting 0 points and giving Turkey a huge board top. Turkey later on points to me that I don't have a precise command of the line or the stalemate line to make that suggestion. I think he's right.
I mean, I told you after the game that for Turkey to solo, I have to take Marseille. So, I mean.
Yeah, he has to get St. Petersburg.
Yeah, but I mean, St. Petersburg is
right. He's never going to get
happening.
That.
Moscow and Warsaw, I would say that my chances are almost 0. So I think my best hope is all Austrian centers plus Tunis, which would be 15.
I think what would probably,
if things go really wrong, maybe Warsaw and Moscow, but Marseille, I would never go to Marseille. Never. I mean, this is just completely impossible. So there is no solo threat ever here. So
the other thing I wasn't taking into consideration was something you said, Umbo, last night that Nicola didn't hear, which is, if France sees his position collapsing, even if he says he's going to throw everything at me, he, in tribute scoring, may be very unwise to do that and may very well change his mind, and you shouldn't be bothered by such threats.
No. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think in this situation there's a lot to be bothered by because, I think like you have to go for it. You're in a great position to do it. I mean, you can never know 100% what will happen when you do this, but I think you can easily, you're at 8, you're going to definitely off of this be able to get probably 12, and then maybe you can grind out some more centers down in France. You can probably get Austria to help you with some things. You're probably going to be able to take Moscow and Warsaw as there's probably a chance that you're going to be able to do that if you had attacked the right way. So yeah, I think this is when you go for it, in my opinion, because you're going to probably have a chance to be able to force Burgundy maybe too. But just I think 2 years ago was probably even a better chance just because Nikolai didn't have as good a position at that point.
And so, Austria was there on 8. Actually, that's the thing I've learned about this was 05, I think, was the better chance than 07.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so we'll move on.
Yeah, as you're doing that though, but that's a big thing. It's like, confidence I think is really important in this game. Now, if you're a horrible player, you shouldn't play with confidence, That creates its own problems. You give other people solos. But once you get to a point, I think one of the things that maybe separates that keeps some people that could get really good scores from getting it is they're just not confident that they can get it. And they have the skills to do it. They're just not confident to be able to step out and do it. And it's diplomacy, definitely. It's a timing game. Like, you can do it too soon, you can do it too slow. That's what makes it kind of difficult. But I do think that confidence is once you get to a certain level, you just have to have confidence that you can make it work.
But even now, if you take Holland now, it's still working.
Well, at this point, though, you're starting.
It's not as good, but it's still working.
Yeah.
I mean, what is France going to do? He's going to lose Holland, then he's going to lose Belgium.
Right, but you're looking pretty scary too at this point. By now there's more reason to fear you now.
No, I mean that's what. So I think at that point they had proposed a draw at that point, and I think I was the only one to vote against it.
So you're admitting it now.
Yeah. I mean,
so what happened? Yeah, no, I mean, during the winter, France proposed another draw. I said I'd draw.
Turkey's not going to at this point. He's at 8.
And he agreed, but it ended up being sort of hilarious because, in the actual submission of the draw votes confidentially to the GM, they go, "You're still playing." And Nicolas like, "Well, which one, France or Germany? You people are, you're crazy. You're going after each other." And I'm like, stop with this. But, he never admitted that he vetoed the draw. But I think everyone on the board, I don't think they believed him. But then he kept saying in this wonderful French accent, "Why am I the bad guy? Everyone's saying I'm the bad guy, but it wasn't me."
You have to try to, because I think, if you wanted, you could still go for it. And I think even France at that time, now that he's back in position.
Oh, no. Nikolai, is that a misorder?
Yeah, but it's not that important.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a misorder. I'm pretty good at misordering. But at that point, basically, when I entered my order, we had kind of agreed that I would take Sebastopol in the fall, and then we would draw.
So what actually ended up? Hold on one second. What the backstory to that is, Turkey's like, well, if I'm at 999, I definitely will enter a draw vote again, which. And France says, if you get it through no help of us, or, then I won't like it, but I'll be okay with it. And I'm like, what? And anyways, it was agreed at that point.
Yeah. I think in spring 1908, if I'm Ed, in spring 1908, it's, if you attack France, because now you have 3 big powers, it's really dicey that he's going to be able to outgrow you. So
but I mean, if you think about it, is we are going to make 25 points out of this game in the system.
This is the offer. The offer to me is he goes to you and says, let's do a 2-way. Let's both get to 12. 12 or 13.
Or, even if because he can think, okay, I'm going to agree to a two-way, but once we are 12, am I going to keep my word? But even if he says, okay, let's race, if he tops the board at 14-13, he's getting 60 points. If he doesn't top the board, I have 14, he has 13. I don't think he has fewer points than 24. I think it must be like very close to 24 points. I haven't looked at the numbers. So, there is lots of upside. There is no downside.
Well, there is in the sense that, if he puts you ahead of him that much, that's one less spot he's going to have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. But for the score in this game, I think he should just go for it anytime, because he has, even if it's like a 1 out of 4 chances to top the board by himself.
Well, I know this. If Edit didn't do it the last 3 years, he's not doing it now.
That's exactly why I voted the draw, because I think my position is pretty good at the end, but I cannot burn my bridges by telling people that I'm going to vote the draw. So at that point, and France moved to Galicia, so it was pretty clear that it was, if you don't vote the draw now, we are all against you. So.
So it ends here at 999, which oddly enough puts all three of us tied for 9th going into the second round, when you need to be in the top 7 for the final board. So none of us is out of it at this moment. I don't think George has confirmed his attendance in round 2, but so it will be interesting to see what goes on. One last question. I know we're running over time, but Nicolas, what do you think of tribute scoring, which is the scoring method used this year by Weaselmoot?
I don't have that much experience. I mean, the first thing that, I think I would, it's pretty impressive that a scoring system that I think Brandon invented a year ago is already like one of the standard scoring system in North America. So it pretty quickly became accepted. I'm not yet sure if I like it or not, because I like the I don't know, the
Carnage. I like Carnage voting.
No, I don't like Carnage. I think Carnage. I like Carnage when I play in Carnage, because it's very good for social games where you vote a draw in 1905 and you go to the bar and you enjoy with your friends. But I don't know. I think in Carnage the problem is it's not what you get that's important, is what you avoid not getting. So what you really need to avoid is a 3rd and 4th place in Carnage. What you need is 1st place or 2nd place, and then you repeat that over 3 rounds, and again you're close to the top of the. So I don't really like this thing. That's what really you need to avoid in Carnage is one bad result, and sometimes it's not even under your control. Tribute, I don't know. My impression of Tribute is I like the spirit of the scoring system, but my impression is, looking at these games, is that if you have an alliance, having one of the 2 countries, 1 dot over the other, makes such a big difference that people are kind of conditioned in, okay, let's draw when we are at 8-8, and if you don't want to do it, then I'm going to attack you. So I think there is this kind of things where even if it really incentivizes the board top, but at the end it seemed that everybody has an interest and not to let anybody go away, and so we vote draws. I don't know. There were lots of shared board tops, and so I don't know. I have to play more. And,
out of 7 games, you're right.
And also, I don't really know how. I saw somebody was at like 6 centers, and the other 2 were at 15 and 15 or something, or 14 and 14, and he got like almost as many points as we did. So I thought that was also a bit strange. So I don't know. I don't have enough experience. I think it's an interesting system, and I'm always happy to play new systems. But also, there are so many people who don't play the scoring system. They are just telling you, I'll be happy with a 3-way draw, or I will be happy with survive. And they don't have a clue about how many points this gives them. So I don't know. It's there when we have to play with it. And I think, the next game where it's really every point is going to count, we will have to optimize our knowledge of tribute to try to be on the top board, and we'll see how it goes. But you have to play the system that the tournament director has chosen, and you do your best, and hopefully next time I'll get more points. But.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, do our best and just become world champion. It's been done before by you. I'm sure it'll be done again. Thank you so much for, man, it went over, but I think it's going to be a great podcast if people listen, just to hear someone like you and also with Humble think about the board and the game. I appreciate the help and the advice, which is why I do these podcasts, frankly. And
well, I think you're really doing a great service to the hobby, and so that's why I'm pretty happy to help you guys and give you my comments, because I think lots of people are learning a lot and are getting excited by listening to this DBN broadcast and this podcast after the game. So I think it really gives energy to the hobby, and so keep going.
Well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'd like to say good night to you. Good night to Humble. Thanks to Diplomacy Briefing, diplomacybriefing.com. You can sign up for that, and you can check out our website, which is sort of new, but not doing so badly, thediplomats.net, thediplomats.net. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.